Okay, let's get started. What we're going to be talking about in this little short video is how to create profiles for your groups of 7 pairs. Remember, when you open up your basket writer version 4, across the top here you got all these different groups of pairs. You got the Aussies, the Canadians, and the Swissies, and the Euros, etc. And there's 7 in each one of these. And we also got the Corf 7, and we got the Yen 7 over here. So what we're going to do is create profiles of each group of these 7, so it makes it easier for you to open these up and take a quick look at them without having to go through and open all the charts. So the first thing you want to do is open your MT4 platform. That's what we've done here. This is the same one we installed in the previous video. And as you notice, we don't have any charts on the screen. It's blank right now. So right now, we're going to be using, to help us with this later on, is 2 new scripts. Remember, before we used the force load historical data script to download history and get our history up to date so our basket writer would work better. It needs as much history as it can get. And in this case now we're going to be using 2 other scripts. One of them is called the change time frame and also the change template. Now, in order to use these, what we want to do, which will make it easier, you can just drag these on a chart, of course, and do it. But even to make it easier than that, what we're going to do is set a hotkey for each one. Now, for the change the template, what I'm going to use, you have to be careful here which ones you use. I'm going to use Alt, and I'm going to use M, because if you use something that's already being used by the MT4 platform or Windows, it could activate something else. But this Alt M seems to work good for the template. For the time frame, we'll also use Alt, and we'll use P. Seems to work okay. It doesn't seem to conflict with anything. So that's the first thing you want to do. You can get these 2 scripts, either search for them on the internet or go to the first page, and they will be in the zip file there. So what you want to do is download those 2 and put them into your scripts folder, and then assign these 2 hotkeys. And you remember where you put them. Put them over here. Open up Data folder. Go to MQL4 and Scripts. That's where you will find them. Okay, so now we got the hotkeys set up for those. So now we're good to go on there. Now all we want to do is let's create a group of 7, a profile. And let's pick, let's do the Canadian dollar. We'll do this group to start off. So what we can do now for is we can close this down and open up our Market Watch window. And since we were going to do the Canadian dollar, what we want to do is go down through the list and grab all the ones that get Canadian in them and drag them over. Now when you drag a new one over, be sure you drag it to a blank spot. If you drag it on top of this chart, it will change this chart, which we don't want to do. So we go down through the list. Here's another one. There's another one. And we should end up 7. And as you can see, that's what we got here. We got 7 if you count them. These are all the ones that contain the Canadian dollar, all the pairs. So for now, if you want to, you can close this. You don't need it. Now usually what I do is I go down below down here and I put them in alphabetical order so they're just easier to find. You just drag them over. See the Aussie Canadian, that's the first one. And this would be the second one. There, now you can see they're kind of in alphabetical order, so they're just easier to find. Now what you want to do is go up to your Windows icon and click on that, and click on Tile Windows. And it should tile them up like that. Now if you hit the F11 key, you will get a full screen, and we can just retile it so it fills up the screen. And as you notice, we have all these are all the 1 hour of anything, any pair that contains the Canadian dollar. And they're in alphabetical order, so it's easier to look through here and find them as you go along. Okay, now what I want to do, you can just click on any one of them. I want to change the template on all these, since I want them to all look a certain way. Now normally you can go, remember, if you go to each one, you can go like this, and you can change the template. In my case, I want to put a plain template on each one. And this would be the long way to do it. You do it on each one, you just click on plain and it comes up plain. But what I want to do, and refresh, what I want to do is I want to do them all at once. So now this is where that hotkey comes into play. So you hold down the Alt and hit the M, which remember is the hotkey we did for that change template all. And we want to change them all. In my case, that template number is number 1. And we'll get that in a minute. See how it changed all of them? So you can do that the first time. You don't have to change this one like we did manually first. You can do that right away, and it changes all your templates. Now remember the template list. You got to, this is where the templates start. My first template in here is black. The second one is plain. You notice I got pound signs in front of them. Those are the ones that we were using before that are in the zip file. Now the way these are numbered, they always start with 0. So if you want to pick the black template, you would put a 0 into that selection box when we bring up the change template script. If you want to, like we did, we used the plain one here, which is actually number 1 in the list. The list goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you get a lot of them in the list, you're going to have some big numbers. You have to count down. You'll have to remember where it is. That's why I kind of put them at the beginning of the list using the pound sign, so they're easier to remember. And in this case, I will be using the number 1, which was the plain. I just called the plain one. And it launched it and changed them all. So that's how we basically use that hotkey. Now remember, we assigned another hotkey to the change the period. Right now you can see the period on these charts is all the 1 hour. Well, supposedly we wanted to look at the daily. So you hit Alt P, remember that was our daily. And you put in the time frame, which is 1440 for the daily. Click OK, and you notice they all changed to the daily. Now we can see the daily. So this is one way to quickly look through all of these. Another way is to, create a profile of all the dailies, create a profile of the hourly or the 4 hourlies, whatever you want to do. But this is a little bit handier. Now what you want to do is save this profile. Now remember, this was the Canadian dollar profile. It's not the Aussie profile, as the first one is an Aussie here. Remember, this we want to be the Canadian one. So we go up to File, and we go to Profiles, and we want to save as. I'm just going to call it CAD 7 for the Canadian 7. Okay, so now we have that profile saved. Now if you go back to the list, there you will see we have it saved. There's a check mark by it. That means that's the one that's presently open. Now as you can see up here, I previously made an Aussie profile containing the 7 Aussies. So now all you got to do is click on that And you notice now I got all the Aussies. So this makes it very handy to go back and forth between different profiles. Now we can go back to the Canadian again, just with a click. And like I said, using those scripts with the hotkeys, it's real easy to change these time frames. Just like this case, hit Alt-P. We can change this back to 60 if we want to. And now we do a quick look to see which direction or which ones we want to pick for the 60 minute. Just remember, this is the Canadian group of 7. So basically what you want to do is go through and do that for all of these. Be 7 in each group. This one you could call like the odd 7. Here you could call this CAD 7. This one would be the Chef 7, Euro 7, Pound 7. Give them all the names, you know what they are. That way when you want to look at these, it makes it very handy and quick just to do that. So I think that about covers it for that. It's just going to be the short video. And remember, you can find those scripts. They'll be in the zip file on the first page.